Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday, and welcome to Wake Up with YPN. I'm Jenna Polk, co-chair of Iowa City YPN, and today I am here with Brad Comer, the Iowa City Assessor. Brad is with us this morning to talk about the 2023 tax assessments that you may have recently received and explain the process of what these valuations mean. So during this time, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to pop them down below and we will get those answered for you. Good morning, Brad. How are you?
Good morning. Great. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, we're so grateful to have you here with us this morning. Just to kind of kick things off, would you be able to introduce yourself, give a little bit about your background and how long you've been in the business?
Sure. I started, been in the assessment field since 1995, started with a private company back then and worked for them for about 7 years. We did work for assessors' offices around the state and some surrounding states. Started with the Iowa City Assessor's Office in 2002 and have worked here since. In 2015, I was appointed as the assessor.
Very nice. So we're just kind of going to jump right in and get to it because I'm sure that there's a lot to cover in this short amount of time. So can you explain the process of tax assessments and why people may have seen their property values raise recently?
Sure. So before we got on, we've talked briefly about the misconception that assessments are not market value, but every 2 years we do adjust assessments to get to market value, and some years bigger than others. Obviously, this year was one of the largest increases, the largest increase that I've seen in my time doing this type of work, and I think for quite a while before that even. What we do is we compare our assessed values with the sale prices. So in 2022, we had a little over 1,000 sales, and what we'll do is we look at what we call sales ratios. For example, if a property sold for 100,000, we had 80,000 as the assessment. You take 80,000 divided by the 100,000, and you get a sales ratio of 80%. The state, the Iowa Department of Revenue, is kind of who oversees our offices, all the assessors' offices across the state. We are required to be within 5% of what things sell for on average. So if our ratio was between 95 and 105, we wouldn't have to make adjustments to our assessments.
Okay.
This year we happen to be at 82.13%, which is just much lower than anything we've seen in a long time. So from there, we made adjustments to different neighborhoods, looking at different types of homes, different styles, different size, and now our assessments, the 2023 assessments, if you compare with the sale prices in 2022, now we're at 97.54%. So now we're within that 5% tolerance. If an assessor's office just decided, I don't think we're not going to change our assessments, the Department of Revenue still would do it. They would do a straight line. They would figure out how much we need to get to the 100% level. They would give a straight percentage to every property within our city limits, and that wouldn't be fair either. There's different areas that go up more than others, and we do the analysis. So there's not really any way around getting a big adjustment in a time of this type of market change.
Yeah. So how often do these assessments happen?
So every odd numbered year we'll react to the market. We look at the even numbered year sales, how our assessments compare, and then we'll make the adjustment in the odd numbered year. So every 2 years there's an adjustment, and in this situation we do look at monthly, how we're comparing monthly, and from January of 2021 through December of 22, it was really just an angle. Our ratio was angling down about every month, and so yeah, it's a 2-year change in this instance.
And this just happens to be an odd last couple of years with the market and the market changes. So it's definitely going to affect what you do. So having you here to help explain this is wonderful. So when you are calculating those new assessed values, how do you go about doing that?
I will say, first we start, maybe I'll say more than I need to at this point, but every assessor in Iowa for residential property, there's a state cost manual that the Department of Revenue puts out. So we have characteristics of all the homes in Iowa City, data that we've collected, the square footage, type of construction, number of bathrooms, all the different factors that go in, and there's a cost manual that we start with to get a base value that everybody in the state uses. From there, we obviously have very different factors and multipliers that we use. Like Iowa City is a much stronger market than some of the smaller counties in Iowa. So, but yeah, garages, porches, there's everything that goes into that starting calculation. Then we break down what we call map areas, and then even smaller into subdivisions. And we can, just with the click of a button, now that everything's very computerized, we can look at how we're doing on our assessments based on any one factor that we want to look at: size, neighborhood, two-story homes, all of those types of examples. There is obviously some judgment. We have a quality factor for homes. We have conditions, depreciations for age. So there's some judgment on our part. I guess I should point out what we're doing is mass appraisal. There's a lot of statistics, generalizations. I think when you would think of an appraisal, you hire a fee appraisal, and they will have 3 to 5 comps with adjustments, and that's what a typical appraisal is. That's not how we operate. When we do get to the appeal period, we'll specify it a little more, and we'll pull up comparable properties and look at that in that respect. But one other thing I think I did want to add, the sales that we've seen so far this year, I think some of the calls that we've been getting talk about the interest rates. The interest rates have gone up significantly since July, August. They're on their way up. The sales have continued to be strong. Even so far in 2023, we have 147 sales that have come through our office, and our new assessments are at 96.3% of what those are. That's the median. I didn't mention, as I was talking about the ratios earlier, we look at median ratio. So we'd line up all of our ratios for the whole year of 2022, high to low, and that very middle ratio is how we're judged by the state. And that's what our 82.13% is. And now we're at 96.3 so far in 2023, and March alone we were 94.7. So it's still trending down. At some point, the interest rates have to have an impact, I would think. But again, we don't predict the market. We really just react to how things are selling.
Yeah, absolutely. So when and how could these tax assessments affect Iowa City taxpayers?
Well, just for example, that the taxes that were most recently paid in the second half that was due in March, that was based on your 2021 assessment. The 2022 assessment, the first half payment will be in September, this coming September of 23. And then this assessment, the 2023 assessment, will have a tax bill generated and due in September of 2024. So about a year and a half away from having this one have impact what your taxes would be. I will say about that, I want to explain there's a state figure called the assessment limitation, also probably better known as the rollback. Right now, when you're calculating a tax bill, just for example, let's say it's a $100,000 assessment again, there's a rollback number then, and right now it's 54.65%. So you take the assessment times the rollback, you get $54,650. That's what is considered your taxable value. The state accumulates, once values are through the appeal process and we send them in July 1st, then the state will determine how much value was added throughout the state. And this isn't happening just to Iowa City and Johnson County. I think there was an assessor survey of assessors showing maybe an average of around 23% increase on average throughout the state. So I think we're actually slightly under that.
Oh, wow.
But so the state will figure out how much assessed value it increased, and then they will adjust that rollback number to keep the total taxable value statewide from going up over 3%. There's a cap of a 3% taxable value increase. So, as I said, the rollback is right now at 54.65%. We're anticipating it could be at 46.5%, somewhere around there. Until the numbers are in, it's an estimate. But so if you calculate, I think I figured if you had a 20% increase in your assessment, that would really only amount to a 2% increase in your taxable value. Again, I'm just talking about residential properties, and now also multifamily properties are getting that same rollback. Commercial is a different story. So from there, you get your taxable value, and then you multiply it by the local levy rate. And again, we don't know if that's further down the road once local government determines their budgets. But I just wanted to make sure that everybody understands the taxable value growth is really going to be limited by that rollback number.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like we have a question now. When will the new valuations be posted on the assessor website?
They have been on the website. For Iowa City, we put them out, I think, the final week of March. Sometimes there's some confusion. If you're on the iowacity.iowassessors.com is our website that has assessed values. If you go into a parcel, the top line will say current value and should show the year, and then below that is prior years, and sometimes people just see that prior year and they wouldn't have a 2023 there. So that the top number, hopefully you'll see that, but that has been out there for a few weeks. And the county assessor just updated theirs a week ago. They were, I think, a week behind us.
Okay. And then another question. Are the levy rate estimates sent on your letter a pretty good estimate of future taxes?
That's really to be determined. I'm not sure if you're talking about, I know the county assessor sent out a letter with assessments. We just have one on our website. The one that we have on our website just assumes no change in the levy rate, and only because we don't know what it will do. Usually when assessments go up, I would hope that the levy rate would go down a little bit. So we just left it the same because we're not sure.
Okay, wonderful. Are assessment limitations and levy rates the same for residential and agriculture?
Residential and ag have different assessment limitations. And I haven't figured out or I haven't heard for sure. Maybe I have, but I don't know. We don't have very much ag property within Iowa City. I'm not sure what the rollback or the assessment limitation would be on ag. Levy rates, I believe there are different levy rates for the ag properties also.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you for your questions. If somebody would like to appeal their assessment, how would they go about doing that?
We have, well, first of all, anyone is welcome to call our office. Through April 25th, there is what we call an informal review period. If you have reasons that you believe that you're overassessed or underassessed, we occasionally get that call too. If you just think our number is not accurate for whatever reason, maybe you have some properties that have sold next in your area, or you're comparing to other assessments, you can contact us. We could talk through it. Through April 25th, there's a possibility that we can come to an agreement. After April 25th, you can file a petition with the Board of Review. We have Board of Review petitions on both our parcel search website, which I mentioned earlier, iowacity.iowassessors.com, and then also there's a county. Our office is actually in the county, Johnson County Administration Building, and we have a website page on the county's website also that we have Board of Review information on. The petitions are allowed to be filed between April 2nd and April 30th for the Board of Review. The Board of Review is a 5-member board from members from Iowa City. They're separate from our office. They hear your case during the month of May. Once petitions come in, we'll start scheduling people. You are allowed to on the form, there's a place where you can check that either yes, you want an oral hearing, or no, you don't. Obviously, if you don't, either way, you want to submit information presenting your case. But if you're checking no, you really better present some information.
Yeah. And so just to go back slightly, earlier you mentioned the website with the most up-to-date information on there. I know there are two different websites that people tend to use for this information. Can you clarify the difference between the two?
No, I'm not sure if so the county assessor has a separate parcel website from us. They have a website that is referred to as Beacon, and our website is through Vanguard Appraisal. So again, the Iowa City Assessor website is iowacity.iowassessors.com.
Okay.
If someone's having that, so hopefully, I don't know that you would be able to find, I don't know that you would get our assessment. On the county web page, you can pull up an Iowa City property, and I think in the past it has shown a value. I'm not sure if those are updated or not, but if you're looking for an Iowa City property, you should come to the Iowa City's website to really be able to look at. I also encourage people to come to our website. Just verify that we have accurate information on it. You can look at a property record card. You can see how many bathrooms, square footage, dimensions, all of that we're listing. And if we have something wrong, we want to have accurate information. One thing I didn't mention earlier is we are really only concerned with having accurate values. We want to be at market value. We don't care about taxes. We're not raising money. That's not an interest. There's no benefit for us. We're just politically separate from that completely. It's not a consideration of ours.
We have another question. If I appeal my tax assessment, do I run the risk of it going higher than what it currently is?
I guess it's a risk, but I can't recall the last time that happened. I don't know if it's ever happened. We're not really looking. I will say that there are some times that we will go out and visit a property after they've called, and we'll find things that we didn't know about, and that might be corrected in the future, but we really aren't looking to change it at that point. So is there the risk? I've heard the board say that before. Maybe we should raise this one, but they don't. As a general policy, no, I wouldn't expect that to happen.
Wonderful. I love all these questions. We knew that this was going to be a hot topic. So can you elaborate on the cap of the 3% increase in our taxes?
Yes. So the increase, that's the fear when I say that cap. It is a 3% increase in taxable value statewide, not to any one particular property. So if you went up exactly the average of what happened in the state, then your taxable value would not go up more than 3%. And again, calculating the taxable value is assessment times rollback gets you to the taxable value. If you compare that with your assessment or your taxable value from the prior year, if you were exactly at the average that the state went up, which we think is around 23%, then you should not have a taxable value go up more than 3%. If you went up more than the average, then your taxable value will go up more than 3%. If you went up less than the average, then your taxable value would go up less than the average. And then from there, it's all dependent on the local levy rate. The levy rate could go up, and you might still, if you were right at that average and you got the 3% taxable value increase, you're still dependent on what the local levy rate, what local government budgets. If they raise their rate, then you would go up more than 3%. If they lower it, then you wouldn't. I'm not sure. Hopefully that explains it. But there is the 3% cap that's statewide is not. It's not what every particular. There is not a limit to your particular property only going up 3% in taxable value. It's a statewide calculation.
Okay, perfect. And so for newer agents that may be watching this who are just hearing about some of these things for the first time, can you talk about that levy rate and how that influences things?
First point is that, again, the levy rate is really outside of it's not something that we get involved in. The assessor's office budget does have a levy rate on it also, but it's a pretty insignificant part of the tax bill. The city, the schools, and the county government are the three big parts of your levy rate. And each year they will, once assessed values come in and the assessment limitation or rollback has been set, those taxing bodies will determine what their budget needs are, and then they'll determine their levy rate off of that. So the levy rate for Iowa City properties has been pretty steady. I think it amounts to like 38 and a half per thousand, I think. But it's been a pretty steady. It hasn't changed drastically one way or the other. Again, values haven't changed drastically one way or the other either. So it is a question, but I don't think I'm not really the person to answer what levy rates are going to do. That's why in the examples that we put on our webpage, we just held it steady because we don't know and we don't have any insight into what they will do. They obviously affect everybody's taxes. So
no, that answer was perfect. I was just looking for kind of a general, way of explaining it for anybody who hasn't heard of that before. So I appreciate you going into that. And if our members would like to learn more about the assessment process, where is a resource that they can go to for that?
About the assessment process? Did I miss?
Yeah.
We do have some information on our, most of our information with just descriptive things like that is on our Johnson County page. When you go to, johnsoncountyiowa.gov, there's pages for all the different departments that are in the county. And even though we're the Iowa City Assessor's office, we are part of county government. So we have a page there that will explain assessment process, appeal process, all of that. Again, I'd also direct people to our parcel search webpage. You can do sales searches. You can look up what your neighbors are assessed at. If there's been sales in your neighborhood, compare the new assessments with what things have sold for. There's a lot of good information there, and I think that will hopefully represent what maybe would help explain to people what has happened. So obviously assessments went up a lot. But they're within the range of what things are selling for.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything else that you can think of that I haven't asked you that you'd like to touch on?
I think just the big points for us is, yes, assessors are supposed to be at market value. We react to the market, so it's not always at that point in time that we're at market value, but every 2 years we're at market value. We're not concerned with we can't consider what happens to taxes. We're really just concerned with market value. The rollback will offset a huge part of this increase, I think. So hopefully that eases some concerns. If you have, make sure people are signing up for homestead credit. There's military credits also to take a little off of the tax bill. If people have questions, please call us. We're happy to talk. It's a really open process. We're sharing all of our information on the website. We really want to have accurate information, and if we're wrong at something, we'd like to know about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here this morning. I know that talking about the assessments and how it involves, taxes and all that isn't always a fun conversation to have, but you did wonderful. We thank you. And if anybody has any questions, even after this, feel free to pop them down below or reach out to Brad at the Iowa City Assessor's office. So thank you so much.
Great. Thank you.